What is up YouTube, Scarido here, and welcome to another reaction video. So unfortunately this is my second attempt at this because again, I don't know what's happening with OBS. Like, I was able to record 2 videos and it worked absolutely fine, and then as soon as I close it and open it again, I just can't record. So we're just going to get straight into this. It's by Creepy Animated Stories. I'm going to have to keep an eye on my OBS.
Mr. Spencer has always been a hoarder for as long as he remembered. He loved antiques more than anything else in the world. Vintage books, watches, coins, busts, cabinets, and dressers. He was also a fan of oil paintings and human portraits in particular.
Which is always a bad sign.
More and more of that stuff. On yet another walk, he decided to drop by the local flea market as usual.
I mean, certainly interestingly
and
drawn.
not finding anything interesting, he was ready to return home. But a lonely salesman caught his interest. More precisely, it was what this man was selling. A portrait. A female portrait. She was drawn very vividly and realistically, as if a living woman was looking at him from behind the frame.
Which is already a bad sign.
Over 25 years old. A big forehead. A heavy look, and unusually lively eyes that seemed to be looking at you. Straight dark hair went down beyond the frame of the painting. There was something in this portrait that attracted him, and he was ready to pay any price for it. It was a little creepy and even scary, and clearly did not claim to be of antique value, but still, somehow, it caught the eye. Without noticing it, Mr. Spencer was already standing next to this man and holding this portrait in his hands. The man gave the portrait and did not ask for money. He just nodded in gratitude, looked back at the portrait in a strange way, and left quickly.
You already know something's going to be wrong with that.
Mr. Spencer stood with the portrait in his hands in the noisy flea market. And then, apparently, when he realized that he had received the portrait for free, he was pleased to go home. The portrait looked good only in the bedroom. Besides, there was almost no space on the walls anywhere else. Already at night, before going to bed, Mr. Spencer felt someone's eyes on him. At half lights, the frame of the picture was not visible, and he mistook the portrait for a person standing next to the wall.
Yeah.
There was something alive in that painting. Moreover, the hands' positions seemed to have changed.
Well, they weren't there before.
Wait a minute. What hands? There were no hands in the picture. Or did I forget? Well, I guess I'm just exhausted, thought Mr. Spencer, laying down, and then fell asleep. The next day the portrait was still hanging on the wall, and the experienced collector could not remember whether there had been hands before or not. Well, of course there have been hands before. They could not have appeared later, the old collector thought again.
That's where you're wrong.
In the evening, Mr. Spencer was going to bed. He walked past the portrait as usual, and suddenly he noticed that the eyes of the portrait seemed to be watching him.
There is something lurking in that painting.
Following him, moving from side to side. Mr. Spencer tumbled for a long time and could not fall asleep, thinking about how it was possible and whether it was his imagination. Then he took sedatives and fell asleep. The next night, the portrait was still looking at him without taking her eyes off. Mr. Spencer began to think he was going crazy. When he decided to go to bed, he looked at the portrait again. The horror changed his body. His breathing ceased, and his heart was ready to jump out of his chest.
Jump scare inbound. I know this already because...
anymore, but a terrible smiling face. He decided to get up and cover it with cloth, or put it on the floor, and in the morning he would put it in the storeroom so it could not scare him again like that. He was just about to get up when he saw the portrait move.
Yeah.
The woman's hands, which
Jump
were now
scare.
folded on the chest, straightened up and creeped out of the picture. Fear chained him up. It was so terrible and crazy that he could not get up from his bed. The hands were still reaching for him. They reached out so far
She got so
that
long
they were
arms.
already getting at his ankles. They stretched.
Okay, so I don't know what keeps on happening, but my OBS suddenly just decided to close partway through. So I've gone back a few seconds and we'll try to continue this right now. Okay, so here we go.
That they were already getting at his ankles. They stretched across the entire room, right to his feet. The skinny hands grabbed him by the legs. He was scared to death, felt burning pain and fainted. And the hands dragged him into the picture, and the old collector disappeared in the darkness of the terrifying portrait.
Okay, so yeah, that was a very, very creepy animation. So hopefully, fingers crossed, this has actually worked this time, and I'll see you in the next one. For the love of God, work.